Welcome back to our language arts ILEARN practice, where we are going to continue reviewing theme and main idea to get ourselves ready for the language arts portion of the ILEARN test, which is coming up in a handful of weeks. So at this time, make sure that you have the packet, which you received last week from your advisory teacher. We read a piece and then we wrote using race, restate, answer, cite evidence, and explain that evidence. This week we're going to go more in depth and we're going to talk about main idea. So before we talk about main idea and before we read, let's do a quick review for week 2. Main idea. What is main idea? Main idea explains what the story is about. Imagine that you can't remember the name of a movie and you are explaining to your friend, this is what it was about, and that would help them. So you're going to use the main idea to kind of give the gist of what the whole story is about. Main idea does include details that are important to the story, this specific story. So last week when we talked about theme is typically a really broad universal message, like good triumphs over evil or love conquers all. But in terms of main idea, we do need to use specifics about our story, like character names and settings. So we're using Finding Nemo as an example again. Hopefully, most of you have seen Finding Nemo. So the main idea would be a father crosses the ocean in search of his son, Nemo. That's the big gist of what it's about, the main idea. So you should be reading the next passage. And for this, you need to remember that we are practicing being in a testing environment. Now, it might seem silly to practice outside of ILEARN, but this just gets our minds and our bodies ready so that it's not such a big shock and it's not so difficult when we are taking ILEARN. So we should have our voices at level 0. This is what I like to call ninja mode, which means I cannot hear you. So I don't even know you're there. You're being so quiet. During this time, we are staying in our seats. If you have a question, raise your hand and your advisory teacher will help you. No passes are given out during advisory. That's nothing new. For this, we would like you to work independently because you will not be able to collaborate when you have ILEARN, as you know. And use the whole time. ILEARN is not a timed test, so you will have plenty of time to go back and check your work. Some people might finish earlier than others, and it's not a race to see who can finish first. We want you to use all of that time to produce quality work. So you will have 8 minutes to read this piece. And as you read, take a moment and maybe think about locating the main idea. And maybe you're annotating and marking the text while you go. So here's your 8 minutes, and you can begin to read. Okay. We are going to move on to the writing portion now that we are done reading. So, again, we're going to use RACE, RACE. The first thing we need to do is restate. So, my question to you is going to be, what is the main idea of the passage? So, let me go back real quick and remind you what main idea is. It explains what the story is about, includes details that are important to the story, such as character names or setting. And just a reminder, our example from Finding Nemo would be the main idea is a father crosses the ocean in search of his son, Nemo. So, what is the main idea of the passage? If you didn't find it, you may need to go back and reread, which is totally fine. Answer the question. Write what you think main idea. What you think the main idea of the passage is. So, you need to then cite evidence. This is where we are going to pull direct quotes from the text. We can't just say the text says the main idea is. I need to have very specific proof. So, a sentence starter you could use is, according to the text, copy one sentence from the text that helps prove your answer. Don't forget to add the proper punctuation, like your language and literature teachers have taught you. Step 4, explain the evidence. Use the sentence starter. This shows that you always need to explain your evidence. We can't assume our reader knows exactly what we mean when we provide evidence. Step 5, this is like leveling up. You need to make your answer better by adding one more piece of evidence and explain that evidence again. So it will really become RACECE, which we don't have a cute acronym for yet, but we will work on. So you'll have 10 minutes to compose your writing using RACE or RACE to describe to your reader what the main idea of the passage is, supporting your answer with two pieces of text evidence, which you will explain how those pieces connect to support your argument of what the main idea is. And for this, you will have 10 minutes. All right, so you should have your completed response, and you are now going to give your packet back to your advisory teacher. If you need more time and you run out of time in advisory, just work on it again next week for week 3 of our ILEARN language arts practice. Thank you, Wildcats, and have a great day.